Top focus right now is a controversial move by the Kerala government, wherein the government has given additional charge of quote-unquote external cooperation to its Labour and Skills Department Secretary K. Vasuki. In the government order of the 15th of July, the Kerala government has said that K. Vasuki will coordinate and supervise all matters in regard to external cooperation. The order has further said that the resident commissioner at Kerala House in the national capital will be supporting K. Vasuki in liaising with the MEA, the missions and the embassies. This latest move of the Kerala government has led to a massive war of words, with the BJP and its leaders accusing the Kerala government of blatant overreach and a violation of the union list of our constitution, which leaves matters such as foreign affairs and defence strictly with the central government. So is the Kerala government then attempting to set a dangerous precedent? We take this conversation forward. I have with me on the broadcast Mr. Harsh Vardhan Shringla, former Foreign Secretary, with us. Mr. Shringla, thank you so much, sir, for taking our time to speak to NewsX. I begin by asking you, sir, do you feel that this move by the Kerala government to appoint its own Secretary of External Cooperation, is this move unconstitutional?
Well, I would say it's a little perplexing. When I saw it, I couldn't figure out why a state government needs a secretary in charge of external cooperation. The constitution clearly puts foreign affairs in the central list. It is very much in the domain of the central government. The central government, on its part, extends all support to the states on any matters that they would have relating to foreign affairs, whether it is promotion of investments, whether it is joint ventures, whether it is trade, dealing with organizations like the World Bank and other entities that provide loans, etc. And of course, consular matters, where it involves individuals that belong to a certain state. States have interests and they pursue those with the Ministry of External Affairs. So at best, the state could appoint someone who's a liaison with the external affairs, who's a liaison with regard to NRIs from the state, etc. But I think once states start arrogating to themselves powers that actually belong to the center, then it becomes irregular. I would say that it is something that is not within the constitution's purview. I think at best states could look for enhanced cooperation through the Ministry of External Affairs and appointing a senior officer who deals with external cooperation is something that the state needs to clarify what it means. And certainly it can create confusion, especially abroad, when we don't deal with entities on the basis of states, we deal with entities on the basis of a country.
Yes.
When you go outside, you represent Bharat or India, and when you talk to your interlocutors, it is an Indian. It's an Indian citizen. It's an Indian who is in difficulty, or it's an Indian who has done well, or an Indian who needs some facilitation, but not a Keralite, not Malayali, not Maharashtrian or Bengali. I mean, this is something that is within India. So
okay.
I think this is not only irregular. It's, as I said, I mean, I'm still trying to get around the fact that what's the motive behind the state's intentions here. And I think this needs some clarification between the state and the Ministry of External Affairs. And ultimately, I think the state should really rationalize its order and its decision and put it in perspective. I mean, every state has concerns for its citizens, but that you have to leave it to the center to look after the to the interests of your citizens abroad.
Yes.
Once the person goes abroad, he becomes an Indian, and it's the concern of the Ministry of External Affairs and the government of India in that regard.
Okay, Mr. Shringla, you said that you're not yet sure of the intentions of the state, but if you were to, at this point in time, basis the order that has come out, speculate, what do you feel that there is some message then that the left government is perhaps trying to send?
Well, I think they're trying to be very proactive in, having an outreach to, those NRIs and PIOs who belong to the state or who are, from the state of Kerala originally. And I think there is an overreach here, which the state has to really consider. I remember during COVID, when we had to organize the Vande Bharat mission to repatriate thousands of our citizens who were stranded abroad. We had, from the Ministry of External Affairs, appointed a senior officer for each state. He was the liaison, he or she was the liaison with every state that was involved. And that process worked very well. So a liaison is one thing. But as I said, arrogating the powers of the center in one way or the other is not, it's not regular.
Okay, Mr. Shringla, at the same time, do you feel that this move, the Kerala government, could perhaps create a precedent where other states may also start appointing their own officers for matters related to foreign affairs, specifically governments that are perhaps then ruled by opposition leaders?
In a situation where states are very sensitive to what are their powers under the Constitution and they would like to exercise those powers, I think states should understand that, there is a certain rationale behind the allocation of work that the Constitution has originally come up with. And if those need to be revised or amended, that has to be done on a consultative basis and it has to be decided by Parliament. But as long as you have a certain laid out, I would say, order of functions, which is between the center, the state, and there is a concurrent list which both the center and the state have a responsibility for. I think here there's no ambiguity. Foreign affairs is squarely within the domain of the central government and is handled by the Ministry of External Affairs in consultation with all the other departments, concerned departments and ministries of the Government of India. And states have to work with the center in this regard. States cannot start conducting their own foreign policy. And certainly, yes. I think that this has to be nipped in the bud. I don't think it is a situation where states, whether it is state X or Y or Z, can start arrogating to itself powers that the Constitution does not allow.
At the same time, Mr. Shringla, do you feel that somewhere this open-ended and ambiguous nomenclature that has been used of external cooperation, they've not said foreign affairs per se, and they've not really defined what external cooperation even means. Do you feel that this then should be read as some sort of a provocation, or one must wait for the state government to perhaps come out with a clarification as to what external cooperation even means? What are they talking about, and what really will be the duties of this officer that has been appointed?
Well, if you look at the central government, it's the Ministry of External Affairs. So external cooperation really refers to foreign policy,
yes,
foreign related cooperation. And from that perspective, I don't think there's any ambiguity in that order. I think the state, this is the case of overreach, and I think the state has to clarify what it means and either, amend the order or, take it back. But clearly, it's not in consonance with the spirit of the Constitution, and the state has to, play within the rules that are defined by our, most sacred of our, let's say, books that we follow, which is the Constitution.
Absolutely.
And the order,
yes,
and the rules that are laid down by this particular, a framework that has been devised by our founding fathers.
Mr. Shringla, at the same time, do you feel that this matter will then perhaps go before the courts, and there's a likelihood of it becoming a little messy?
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. I don't think, there is no case really. So I don't think it should come to that. I don't think the state should think that the courts will pronounce itself on an issue that is so clear. I can understand where there's some ambiguity, but here there's none. So there has to be some, clarification. There has to be some effort to, expand on what this external cooperation means. And I think, essentially it really has to be a liaison between the state and the Ministry of External Affairs. You can't have state officials directly dealing with, as
yes,
I said, different governments, different entities, different associations abroad. Once you're abroad, you are, as I said, you're an Indian, or you're from Bharat, and you basically follow, your national identity. And within
yes,
that national identity, of course, is subsumed your own, linguistic, your ethnic, your state, that you come from, etc. But those are secondary. And so I think that is an important issue, because we are a federal structure, and within the federal structure, a lot of powers have been, devolved on the states, and the states do exercise those powers quite diligently. But there are certain powers that are clearly with the center. It's foreign affairs, it's defense, it is currency, All of these are clearly, the domain of the center.
Yes.
And it's the same with any other major federal, structure that you see anywhere in the world. You see the United States, they also have a similar, setup. And when it comes to foreign affairs, the State Department that exercises it on behalf of the United States of America. It's not Virginia or Minnesota or Georgia that's exercising its own foreign policy and suddenly has some officials that are dealing with external cooperation or foreign policy, etc. So I think that has to be kept in mind. I mean, I see Kerala, of course, has a very large number of people who are abroad. There is a number of cases that you have to deal with, but all the more reason why you should be in closer touch with the MEA and with the government of India in this regard.
Okay, Mr. Shringla, before we let you go, so quickly your thoughts on what has happened in the past as well. In 2021, the LDF government appointed a former IFS officer to special duty to, of course, collaborate with the MEA, with foreign diplomatic missions and other countries as well, in order to make political visits and also collaborate on matters of education, culture. How was that appointment then different from what the state government has done now?
Yeah, so that's another thing that when I said perplexed, I was also thinking about that. Master Venu Rajamoni is one of our very fine officers, and I do know that once he finished with his service, he was inducted by the state government, on a political basis to liaise on issues relating to, citizens that from the state and with the Ministry of External Affairs on issues. He basically facilitated matters, and I think that's fine, and that's within the ambit of what I would call, more proactive collaboration with states, and that the MEA has always extended. I mean, we have always worked closely with the states on every aspect. When you talk about, federal and cooperation, this is an example of where we have worked closely with the states on all of these issues. Whether it's, as I said, whether it's investments, bringing investors, states, dealing with consular issues, dealing with embassies and consulates. The liaison between ME and the states has been very, very significant. And Master Venu Rajamoni has been a part of that effort. So appointing a sitting, or rather an officer who's part of the government and who's, a serving officer to deal with external cooperation, I think is taking the matter a little further into a domain which is I think, one that is into a level of ambiguity which can be, I think, a little, can muddy the waters a little.
Okay, all right. Mr. Shringla, thank you so much, sir, for taking our time to speak to NewsX and bringing us your thoughts on what's happening as far as this latest order of the Kerala government is concerned. I'm also being joined on the broadcast, viewers, by Mr. KJ Alphonse, senior BJP leader and former union minister. Mr. Alphonse, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to NewsX. I want to understand from you, do you feel that this move by the Kerala government to appoint its own Secretary of External Cooperation, is this move unconstitutional?
Frankly, I don't think so, because she's been appointed, she's Secretary Norca, which basically looks after the welfare of Kerala diaspora. And as you know, there are about 5 million people from Kerala who are settled abroad, and there are also about 3 million Keralites who are settled outside Kerala, but within India itself. So her posting is basically to coordinate matters which pertains to Keralites who are abroad, and also to coordinate with external authorities, external agencies, to coordinate the welfare of Keralites. So originally this post was created on the 28th of September last year, and Mr. Suman Bila was the first secretary of the department, in addition to being principal secretary industries and IT. And now that he's come to Government of India on deputation, now Dr. Vasuki has been appointed to that position. So basically it says, the order, I have the order with me of the 15th of this month, which says she will be secretary and coordinate those issues of Keralites and visit of foreign dignitaries to Kerala with the External Affairs Ministry. So it's not that it's a post equivalent to the Foreign Secretary or something. No, I think that's completely misleading. This is only to coordinate the affairs of the Kerala diaspora who are settled abroad, who are settled outside Kerala, and also the visit of foreign dignitaries and such agencies to India to coordinate with the External Affairs Ministry. So I don't really think there is anything wrong with the post which has been created last year, and Dr. Vasuki be posted in that post. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay, Mr. Alphonse, at the same time, does this then create some sort of a precedent where other states will also then want to appoint their own officers for matters related to foreign affairs?
No. There is nothing really, no encroachment on the domain of External Affairs Ministry at all. Basically, everything that the government of Kerala does when you have an agreement with anybody abroad or any agencies, everything goes to the Ministry of External Affairs and through the Department of DEA. None of those is going to be bypassed. This is basically to coordinate. Government of Kerala needs somebody to coordinate the welfare of Keralites abroad through the External Affairs Ministry, and also the visit of foreign delegates to Kerala, which is of course approved by the Ministry of External Affairs. This is only to coordinate, to make things easier. Instead of having 10 secretaries coordinating such things, we just have one secretary now to coordinate, and I don't really see anything wrong with that.
Okay, but then why do you think the BJP, especially in Kerala, is calling this move a blatant overreach?
I've really not seen the reaction of any Kerala leader on this, but a simple reading of the government order, it makes it very clear that the job of the secretary would be to coordinate with the External Affairs Ministry, and that is what exactly is mentioned in the GO, which has been issued on the 15th of this month. So I think there should be no misunderstanding. I don't think we should really see a problem when there is no problem. I mean, there is no conflict, and so there is no point of saying there is a conflict between what the government of India is doing and what the state government is doing. I think this is a good idea, and the original order was issued last year on the 28th of September last year, and I think it's a good idea to have an officer to coordinate such matters, and I don't really see any problem with that.
And you don't feel that there is any open-endedness or ambiguity in terms of the nomenclature that has been used? Because we were just speaking with Mr. Harshvardhan Shringla as well, former Foreign Secretary. He feels that it is quite ambiguous, the way it is, rather not ambiguous. He feels that it's quite clear what the Kerala government is trying to do, but he felt that it was an overreach. And several people are saying that the order is a little open-ended. So do you not feel that this could perhaps lead to certain confusions which may end up also going before the courts?
No, I don't really see any problem, frankly speaking, because I've not seen the reaction of anybody to this. So, frankly, I don't know. I won't respond to anybody else's reaction. See, it's very clear. I was on the Parliamentary Committee on External Affairs when I was a member of Parliament. Earlier, I was a Union Minister. It's very clear that everything that Kerala government would deal with an external agency, that would basically have the clearance of the External Affairs Ministry. And so there is no confusion on these things, and the Kerala government order does not mention that any powers of the External Affairs Ministry are being appropriated. There is no such issue at all. Here is basically to coordinate whatever is going to be cleared by the government of India. If there are discussions taking place with the foreign agencies, with the foreign governments, of course with the concurrence of the External Affairs Ministry only, and that would be coordinated by the Secretary. So I think this is actually seeing an elephant where there is no elephant at all. I mean, I don't really see a problem.
Okay, Mr. Alphonse, at the same time, there are some questions that are being raised on the potential effects of this move, because foreign affairs is, of course, a part of the union list, so is defense, and some people do feel that this could create a precedent where certain states that have security matters may end up then appointing some sort of a secretary for security coordination as well. Do you feel that this could perhaps lead to some sort of a domino effect?
No. This has got nothing to do with security matters. Basically, this is to do, basically the secretary who's been appointed, Dr. Vasuki, she will coordinate with the External Affairs Ministry. I mean, if you see the last sentence of the order of the 15th of this month says, the Resident Commission of Kerala will provide all assistance to the secretary to coordinate with the External Affairs Ministry. So I think the order itself is pretty clear. And I don't really see any attempt of the government of Kerala to encroach on the domain of the government of India. I don't think that is the issue at all.
Okay, all right. Mr. Alphonse, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast with your perspective on this latest order of the Kerala government. We're also being joined by Mr. V. Muralidharan, former MOS External Affairs of India. Mr. Muralidharan, thank you so much, sir, for taking our time to speak to NewsX. I want to begin by asking you, why do you think the Kerala government has appointed an IAS officer to look after external cooperation?
No, it is a surprising thing. My only hunch is that the government wants to perhaps to cover up their political and dubious connections that they have with some of the people abroad. For that, they want to use the government channels, is what I suspect. Because there has been allegations against the Chief Minister's office of involved in smuggling of gold and all in the previous past days. So this could be perhaps a way of directly connecting with people abroad, individuals abroad, and then get all these issues, such issues sorted out.
Okay, Mr. Muralidharan, the next big question that of course everyone's asking is, does the state government have the power to appoint an officer to look into matters of external cooperation?
Under the Constitution, every activity with any international affairs or bodies or any other country that comes under the domain of the union government. Under the rules of business in the Constitution, the state has no power to have any direct contact with any foreign country. If any such issue comes up and any state government has to contact any of the foreign countries, it has to be done through MEA. So this is an unconstitutional order. This is a blatant violation of the rules of business that has been very specifically mentioned in the Constitution. So I am really surprised that a state government has issued such an order where they are saying that a secretary, a senior IAS officer has been assigned the duty of international cooperation. So I am requesting the governor to intervene in this, being the custodian of the Constitution in the state. The governor will have to go into the details of why the state government has come out with such a government order, and to ensure that the norms of the Constitution are not violated.
Okay, Mr. Muralidharan, then do you feel that this order of the state government is an attempt to provoke?
No, I don't say it is a provocation.
Okay.
It's a violation because there is no provocation in this. The issue is the state government tomorrow, if they say that we will raise an army.
Yes.
And to protect the borders of Kerala, it is almost equal to that. Because defense, external affairs, finance, all these matters are under the domain of the government of India. Tomorrow the state government, if they say that we will have our own currency.
Yes.
This is equal to that.
Okay. So if there is no legal backing or provision to assign a secretary in charge of external cooperation by a state, what message then is the Kerala government trying to send as per you?
No, that is why that will have to be explained by those people who are at the helm of affairs in the government of Kerala, either by the chief minister or by the chief secretary or anybody who is associated with such decisions. That's why I am requesting an intervention by the governor of Kerala on this issue.
Okay, and at the same time, Mr. Muralidharan, do you think that this matter will be challenged before the courts?
No, that is an issue that I am getting it examined.
Okay.
And I am sure that whatever is the legal provisions, that will be adhered to.
All right. And do you also feel that is the Kerala government attempting to create then some sort of precedent where states will get to appoint their own officers for matters related to foreign affairs? And do you think that other governments, especially those that are ruled by opposition leaders, may in fact follow suit?
See, I am at loss of words on this, because this is the first time that the 75 years of independent India, that a state government has taken such a decision. No state government has done such a thing till now. And if it is it's a very, very serious issue.
Okay, all right, Mr. Muralidharan, before we let you go, so one last question. In 2021, the LDF government had appointed a former IFS officer to special duty to coordinate with the MEA, with diplomatic missions, and also collaborate with other countries to undertake political visits, to collaborate on matters of education, on culture. How was that appointment different from what the state government has done now?
See, that was a retired officer,
yes,
who was appointed as a liaison officer. And he was liaising mostly with MEA.
Yes.
Maybe he might have met some foreign ambassadors or diplomats. But he was not assigned any such specific task of like external cooperation. That is the word that has been used. So that's entirely different, and it was more of a political appointment.
Okay.
It was a retired officer who was given the officer on duty. So that some of the governments have been doing it on various other issues, not on issues of international relations, but here sitting an officer, IAS officer in service, such a person has been given such a responsibility, and it has been issued through a government order.
Right, okay.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.